Okay, now we're going to talk about the fall of Rome in the West. This is the second part of sort of like a two-part thing, although it can stand on its own. But I suggest watching the video on the Huns first. It's only a couple minutes. Here we have the Visigoths coming down, pushed by the Huns into Rome, and the Battle of Adrianople. In the Battle of Adrianople, we have huge problems in the Roman Empire. What happens is the Visigoths come down, they're forced down, and they beg Rome, please, please, let us in, please, we have nothing. The Huns are going to kill us. And the Roman Emperor Valens says, okay, I guess. So Valens isn't super happy with them or anything. They're not thrilled at having these Visigoths come and live in Rome. But the Visigoths have 100,000 warriors and vastly more women, children, old people, etc. So Valens agrees, but he settles them in land that doesn't have enough food, and then pretty shortly thereafter, Roman businessmen price gouge. The Roman businessmen know the plight of the Visigoths, and so they start selling them dog meat. And at first, the Visigoths can buy some of it, but then they get hungrier and hungrier, and their prices for a couple of dogs, meat from a couple dogs, is your kid. So the Visigoths are now forced to sell their kids into slavery to be sold wherever in the Roman Empire by these businessmen in exchange for dog meat. As you can imagine, they're not happy. Eventually the Visigoths rebel. Remember, they have 100,000 warriors. And during this little rebellion, Valens comes up with his comitatensis. And he's sitting there, and he's sitting there, and sitting there, and he's getting impatient. Remember what happened before when Roman generals got impatient and Hannibal was their foe. The Romans don't face nearly as formidable a foe as Hannibal this time, but the folly of being impatient with a Roman army still holds true. Gratian, the other Roman general and the other emperor, is on his way. He's been notified, and he's coming as fast as he can with the other comitatenses. So why wouldn't you wait until both comitatenses are there and then fight the Visigoths at full strength? Or, I mean, better yet, don't antagonize the Visigoths in the first place, but it's too late for that at this point. So Valens has the opportunity to let these 100,000 warriors and much larger society into Rome and possibly get them to fight for Rome, for pay, of course. But instead he chooses to let that Roman businessman antagonize them into rebelling. Now it's really his problem. But he makes another mistake. Because, see, now Valens, as he's sitting there waiting impatiently, doesn't even want Gratian to come because, think about it for a second, because now he gets all the glory for himself. This is frowned upon in Rome usually. You do not go for self-glory above the glory of the state, as those old Roman doctrines will teach you in those stories that we read about early Rome. It's not a good idea. It's a very good idea to become as great of a person as you can be and get as much glory for yourself and your family as you can, but never at the expense of the Roman state. Remember the father who killed his own son because his son was disobedient to the army, and the father did not want to betray the state. He would rather betray his family. So he could live with himself if he betrayed his family, but not if he betrayed the state. Think about that for a second. In the context of Valens charging headlong into the camp of the Visigoths, while the Visigoths are out raiding and scavenging for supplies. So he essentially goes against, maybe something like a third to half of the full Visigothic strength. But all those guys who are out scavenging now, very, very quickly hear that there's a battle going on, so of course they come rushing back. And as they're rushing back, they get their shields, they get their swords, and now they start smashing into the Roman lines from the sides. So the Romans are in this headlong charge, trying to punch through this disorganized, I don't even want to say arrangement, but arrangement of Visigothic troops. Because he did, to his credit, take them sort of by surprise. But as these scavengers are coming back, I mean, there's a lot of them. They start smashing into the side of these Romans, this Roman comitatensis that Valens is leading, and they completely annihilate it. The Battle of Adrianople is an absolute disaster. The Romans are completely wiped out. Valens' body, not even found. That's a bad sign. Half of Rome's army is just gone. It's not quite half, but for all intents and purposes, it's the only, it's about half of what mattered, I guess. Gratian comes there with his comitatensis, and he's like, wait a second, we just lost a whole comitatensis? Yeah, not pleased. Not pleased at all. So Gratian sits there and thinks for a minute and is like, okay, Valens just went in by himself and got wiped out. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Nope. So he cuts a deal with the Visigoths, and the Visigoths get a huge amount of territory to themselves. And they don't have to become Roman if they don't want to at this point. And so Rome loses all the territory of the Balkans. Now, years go by. The Romans kind of rally a little bit. They get more comitatenses. They get more troops in the army. They sort of recover. But this battle is like the beginning of the end. The Roman Empire is in such a state where they are hanging on all the time by the effectiveness and efficiency of these armies. Because the Roman armies are doing way more with way fewer men. The Roman army was enormous back in the times of the Republic and the early Empire. But then once you start having to pay the army, you can't maintain so many people under pay. It was much easier when your allies owed you troops, so you just got them for free, essentially. You want to be protected, you supply us with men. We protect you, you supply us with men. You can get a lot more troops that way. But the Romans didn't have quite as many troops. Again, 20, 30 something thousand guys in each of these comitatenses. So a few years go by. Another year goes by. And the situation changes a little again. Roman army recovers a little bit, and then you have another situation. Again with the Visigoths. The problem children, sort of. But now you have, this situation is unique, because now you have, instead of having, the Visigoths as foreigners, now the Visigoths are being paid to protect Rome. Interesting. And their leader is a man named Alaric. He's their general, and he's very smart, highly effective general. And the Romans have another general, and his name is Stilicho. And Stilicho is also highly effective, excellent general. And he gets very powerful. And the Roman Emperor Honorius is suspicious of Stilicho. But Honorius is kind of not smart, because Alaric, the Visigoth, says he wants the title Magister Militum or Magister Equitum. Magister Militum means master of foot soldiers. Magister equitum means master of horsemen or knights. But I hesitate to use the word knights because we'll get to what Christian knights are, or like real knights, essentially, in the Middle Ages in a few days. Magister, fun fact, is the title teacher also. Kind of something between teacher and master. It's that. Anyway, the official head of the Roman foot soldiery was the Magister Militum and Magister Equitum for the horsemen. Alaric doesn't care. He'll take either one. He doesn't need to be both. Except Honorius doesn't want to do it. Why doesn't Honorius want to do it? Well, he's a Visigoth. He's a dirty, slimy, ugly Visigoth. Except for the fact that Alaric, as a Visigoth, is performing the service of being the general of a huge army in service to Rome. And he wants the titles that he feels are essentially due to him as, they're a little above his station, but not too far above it, because he is the general of Rome. He's not the only general of Rome, but he's a general. He's highly effective, and he's maintaining peace in his realm. But Honorius doesn't want to give it to him. So there's a problem. Alaric says, I don't like you. You're not going to give me the promotion. I don't like you. So I'm going to fight against you, and I'm going to rebel now. So Honorius is like, oh God. So Stilicho's called up with another Roman comitatensis, and Stilicho has to fight against Alaric. Now, Roman armies have been fighting against each other for quite some time. However, usually it's because the general of one army is been proclaimed emperor by the army, and same with the other one, and there can only be one emperor because there can be two emperors, there frequently are, but the emperors don't want that. The emperors want to be the only one, except they don't have, the empire's too big. It doesn't really work. Anyway, this is what happens. Alaric and Stilicho end up squabbling. Neither one really wins, and then Honorius gets very overly fearful of his main man Stilicho. And he removes him. Tells him, go over to the east. Don't deal with this right now, go over to the east. And so he goes over to the east. And then there's more problems. And these two are still going at it. Alaric and Stilicho. But Honorius gets really scared. And now Honorius is really, really scared of Stilicho. This is a problem. Stilicho's the only one who can protect Honorius. So we end up with another situation where Honorius has the right idea to execute Stilicho for being a threat to himself. Unfortunately, Honorius cannot deal with the threat of Alaric. And Honorius should know this, but I don't know how he doesn't. So he gets rid of Stilicho. He has him executed. And now Honorius, the bright emperor, and he's very young, by the way, has essentially deprived Rome of the only one who can protect Rome against Alaric. So if you're following this logic, the emperor has deprived the empire, Rome, of the only man who can save it from Rome's other army. And to make matters worse, Alaric decides that, he's got clear sailing now that army's still there, but Stilicho's gone. And without Stilicho, it's not effective. At least not yet. And so, this gives Alaric the opportunity to go in, march on Rome, and sack Rome in 410. So in 410 AD, Rome is sacked by Rome's own army. Not crazy cutthroat barbarians who were invading from the north. They were once barbarians, but these are people on track to be Romans, and now they're sacked. Rome is sacked by its own army in 410. That's it. They're done. They'll have other Roman emperors after that until 476 when it's really done, but that's pretty much the fall of Rome. I hope you enjoyed Rome while it lasted.